This is not just a story of gods and angels. It is a story about you. Before time was measured, before the stars were named, there was only the void, an endless, silent, formless abyss. This was chaos. From this great, yawning emptiness, a presence stirred, a consciousness began to form. This was the first stirring of life, the first thought in an unthinking universe. Out of chaos, two fundamental powers emerged, not born in the way we understand, but simply becoming. The first was Gaia, the earth. She was broad, stable, and nurturing, the very foundation of all that would ever be. Imagine her not as a ball of rock, but as a living, breathing entity, a vast, maternal spirit feeling the first lonely pulse of her own existence. And then there was Uranus, the sky. He was a vast, starry dome, arching over Gaia, a canopy of infinite potential and cosmic power. He was her equal, her partner, her other half. Together, they were the first couple, the primal parents of reality itself. Their union was absolute, a constant, unbroken embrace. The sky lay upon the earth, and in their cosmic intimacy, creation truly began. From their union, life erupted. But this was not the gentle life we know. These were beings of raw, untamed power. First came the Hecatoncheires, the 100-handed ones, monstrous giants, each possessing 50 heads and 100 powerful arms. Their very existence was a testament to the raw, chaotic energy of creation. Imagine their might, a force of nature personified, a walking earthquake and hurricane combined. Then came the Cyclopes, the one-eyed giants. They were not mere brutes. They were master craftsmen, beings who could harness the very fire of the earth. Their single, I saw the world with a clarity we can only imagine, perceiving the raw essence of creation. They forged thunderbolts for the heavens and were beings of immense strength and primordial skill. But Uranus looked upon these children, his firstborn, and he was filled not with love, but with terror. They were monstrous, powerful, and unpredictable. He saw in their untamed forms a threat to his own dominion. He feared they would one day rise up and supplant him. So, driven by this primal fear, he committed a terrible act. He took his own children, the 100-handed ones, and the Cyclopes, and thrust them back into the very body of their mother, Gaia. He imprisoned them deep within her, in the darkest pit of the earth, known as Tartarus. Imagine the agony of Gaia. She was the mother of all, yet her children were trapped within her, their immense power writhing in torment. Their pain was her pain. The weight of her imprisoned offspring was a constant, crushing burden. The sky, once her loving partner, had become her oppressor, a blanket of fear that smothered her and her children. Her love for Uranus curdled into resentment, then into a silent, burning rage. She could not bear the suffering any longer. A decision formed in the heart of the earth. Uranus must be overthrown. But Gaia knew she could not act alone. She needed an ally, an instrument of her will. So she gave birth to a new generation of children, beings of beauty and form, unlike their monstrous older siblings. These were the 12 Titans, 6 sons and 6 daughters, each representing a fundamental aspect of the cosmos. Oceanus, the world-encircling river. Tethys, the mother of streams. Hyperion, the lord of light. Deither, the lady of shimmering gold. Cous and Phoebe, pillars of intellect and prophecy. And Iapetus and Themis, who embodied mortal life and divine law. They were magnificent, the first true dynasty of gods, and among them was Cronus. He was the youngest, yet the most ambitious, the most cunning, and the one who most deeply felt his mother's pain. Gaia, her heart heavy with sorrow and resolve, gathered her Titan children. She revealed her plan, her voice the deep rumble of the earth itself. She spoke of their father's cruelty, of their imprisoned brothers, and of the need for liberation. She forged a great sickle, a jagged, unyielding blade made of the hardest flint, and offered it to them. "Which of you," she asked, "will dare to rise against your father and end his tyranny?" Silence fell among the Titans. They were afraid. To challenge Uranus was to challenge the sky itself, the very order of the universe. But Cronus stepped forward. He took the great sickle from his mother's hand. In his eyes, a cold fire burned, a mix of ambition, resentment, and a fierce loyalty to his mother. He alone had the courage to answer Gaia's call. The plan was set. Gaia lured Uranus down for their nightly embrace. As the great sky descended, suspecting nothing, Cronus lay in ambush. At the moment of perfect vulnerability, he struck. With a single, terrible swing of the flint sickle, he did the unthinkable. He severed his father from his power, castrating him and ending his reign in a single act of violent rebellion. The sky pulled away from the earth, and for the first time there was space between them. A space for light, for air, for a new world to form. The blood of Uranus fell upon the earth, and from it sprang forth even more life, the giants, the furies, and the nymphs. The act of rebellion was an act of creation. From this brutal separation, the world as we know it began to take shape. Cronus, the rebel son, now stood as the new ruler of the cosmos, the sickle in his hand a symbol of his newly won power. The age of the Titans had begun. This is not merely a tale of cosmic patricide. It's a foundational myth about the very nature of existence. The conflict between Uranus and Cronus is the story of order being born from chaos, of space being carved out of unity. It represents a necessary, albeit violent, separation. The sky must separate from the earth for the world to breathe. The child must separate from the parent to forge their own destiny. This myth speaks to a deep, primal fear encoded within us all. The fear of being replaced by our own creations, by the next generation. Uranus saw his power in his children and sought to suppress it. It's the story of the old guard fearing the new. But it is also the story of the irresistible drive to overcome oppression. Gaia's pain and Cronus' rebellion represent the unbreakable will of life to break free from tyranny, to fight for its own space, its own future. The cycle of power is laid bare here. Cronus, who overthrew his father out of fear, would one day become the very thing he fought against. He too would fear his own children and seek to control them, setting the stage for yet another rebellion, another cosmic war. Power, the myth tells us, is a treacherous current, and those who seize it often find themselves swept away by the same tides that brought them to shore. These primordial struggles, these epic battles between gods and titans, are not distant, dusty tales. They are allegories for the conflicts that rage within our own hearts. The struggle between order and chaos, freedom and control, love and fear. Father and son, these are the building blocks of the human psyche. The story of the Titans is the story of our own emergence, our own violent, beautiful, and necessary separation from the void. It's a mirror reflecting the eternal drama of creation, destruction, and rebirth that defines not only the cosmos, but our very souls. God Story Reborn. Subscribe for more stories of light and rebirth.